Yo, what's cracking, folks? Welcome to episode number 10 of The Painter and the Pixie.
10.
Ooh, double digits. What's
Double
up?
digits, two whole hands.
Yeah, man. I'm your host, Jeremy Vassar, and as always, I'm joined by your other host, my lovely wife, Serena.
Hi, everyone.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can go to www.audibletrial.com/The Painter and the Pixie to get your free 1-month trial of Audible. It's the #1 online provider of audiobooks online. It is one of my favorite things that I use all the time.
Me too.
And
Pretty much listen to it every day.
every day. Yeah. I didn't even know that Audible gives you badges for listening until one of your
that's so
friends said like, oh, do you have like badges? And then I didn't even know where it was in the app because I never looked at that. I just tried to get the books out of my library.
And you have like tons of them.
And then she looked up and I had like literally all the badges.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
like 300, a lot.
I just checked. I have 440 audiobooks
Oh, wow,
in my
okay.
library. So
Yeah. Listen to it every day. It's awesome. Go check it out.
Big fan. I would recommend when you do your free trial, you get one free credit.
So you can get a free book.
You get a free audiobook. And my recommendation this week is Cal Newport's So Good They Can't Ignore You.
Yeah.
We talk about it for a minute in the podcast, but that is my recommendation for that.
a good one.
And he also did another book called Deep Work, also good, but I would start with the
So good they can't ignore
yeah,
you.
fantastic.
Very good.
Stuff. Especially for all you young bucks coming up and need some skills. So again, that's www.audibletrial.com/The Painter and the Pixie for your 1-month free trial and free credit.
Yep.
And in this episode of the podcast, Serena and I are talking about useless skills.
Yeah. We have a little bit of a lead up, some fun stories. You're talking about people, and then
Our normal shenanigans.
our useless skills, superfluous skills, things that are not necessarily doing anything for us in the here and now. They're kind of out of context, but kind of interesting, fun to talk about.
Yeah, fun things,
Yeah.
little snippets, and we'll it was good.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
Enough of a lead up.
If you guys, well, I guess I'll say this in the outro.
Yeah, what do you want to?
If you guys want to tell us about some of your random useless skills, totally leave us comments. We'd love to read them.
Yeah, comments,
Really
DM
fun.
us on Instagram. We'll mention this in the outro
Yeah,
too.
sounds good.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, without further ado, please enjoy episode number 10 of The Painter and the Pixie.
This is only the beginning.
All right, ready?
Ready?
What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle.
Well, I don't believe it.
Let's find out. Ready, set, go.
What's up, lady?
Hello, good morning.
How are you doing?
Good, doing well.
Yeah, we got one less hour of sleep last night, but
We slept in, so we kind of got it back.
it's true. I stayed up pretty late, so. But I went to the.
I did not. I went to bed my normal 11 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, I came home from the movies at like 12:20ish, and then I took
okay.
Gus for a walk. So.
I was definitely asleep through all of that.
you were. You were. But yeah, fun time.
Yeah.
So yesterday was another good production day, and then your parentals came.
Yeah, hang out with them for a little while. Birthday boys.
Yeah, I saw them at the old office. And you did your thing with them nutritionally. But yeah, we got all our screen capture stuff done. I got way better screen capture
Good,
software.
that's great.
Ooh, it's good. It's
Fun.
very smooth. Screenflow, for anybody who's into that sort of thing, highly recommended.
Yeah, I linked him last time. You mentioned him last episode. I linked him.
But yeah, we're cruising right along. I think we'll only have like one more day of principal shooting,
Cool. That's awesome.
and then it should just be. I have quite a bit of production work just to go through all the videos and match sound and do kind of like see what we've actually done and sequence it out since we started. So
And what might be missing or need to be redone.
right. So that'll be part of my day the rest of today.
Cool. Fun.
But I went to the movie last night. My brother didn't go, even though the movie theater is right across the street from his house.
Really?
Yeah, he can actually in Movie
You
Pass.
could walk.
In Movie Pass, he can check in inside of his house
That's so funny.
to
That's
go.
amazing.
Because like you have to be within I think 100 yards of the theater. But he jacked up his back in Jiu Jitsu and stuff, so
Oh,
that's
that's
why
no
he's
fun.
just sitting the old Vassar back.
Yeah.
telling him like, yeah, you and Pops are like back buddies.
Back buddies, not
It's
good.
not good. I've already had
Back
my
injury
shift.
buddies.
Yeah. So you gotta make sure you keep some space. That's why I'm like, come to yoga.
Dude, Josh could totally do that. It'd be so good for him.
I don't know, dude. He's a wuss with the heat.
True.
Not a fan of the
He
heat.
might. I think it would be really good for him. I don't know if I don't
Yeah.
think he'd like it right away. He might grow
Oh,
to
for
like
sure
it.
he's not gonna like it
No
right
one
away.
likes it right away.
I don't like it now. It's
You
just
should do it.
You're not supposed to like it. Like it's not supposed to be like that's what I always think that's hilarious. It's like stuff that I want to get good at. I don't necessarily enjoy it. Like it's supposed to be hard. That's but I say I don't like it. It's not like
You do like yoga.
I do
a
enjoy
lot.
it. I like the
just-
heat and
It's not very pleasant.
yeah, well, it's like I'm always amazed where there's I don't know what the females talk about in y'all's locker room after yoga, but there's always some guys saying like how hot it is. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's hot yoga. Like it's supposed to be super hot. Like that's the whole point of this
No,
thing.
the girls don't ever say that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That's really funny that they're like, yeah, it's hot in there. There's only been a couple people who I've heard who are brand new. You know, you're allowed. You're
Yeah,
totally allowed to
yeah.
say, whoa, that's really hot in there
'Cause
for
it's
the first few times.
it's
because
shocking.
it's shocking. You
Yeah,
haven't done it
yeah.
before. But if you've been going for a month, a year, like, you know the deal. It's
Yeah.
not shocking anymore.
Well, I don't want to stereotype anybody, but I've noticed a pattern in a lot of the dudes that come in there. Now there's starting to be another kind of classification of guys coming in at least to our yoga studio where there's like some kind of like athletes
Oh, okay.
that
interesting.
are coming in. And before it's a lot of middle-aged to like older guys that have definitely done other sports and
Yeah.
messed themselves up. I've seen a lot of former runners, former cyclists, and I have some fellow back surgery compadres in there because most of the time people don't have shirts. I can see like the little scar
Yeah.
right above their tailbone, which is where I have mine. I'm like, yeah, all right, you too? Cool. So I feel like on the whole, the females that are in the yoga class are a little more ballin' as far as like their, I guess it's just more of them do it, but also girls tend to be more flexible.
Yeah.
So, and it just, yeah, as far as like their performance. So, but anyway, I haven't seen any like really, really amazing guys like
Yeah.
that can do all the stuff
As students.
Not anywhere close to how good the instructors or the like Adam's insanely good.
Yeah.
He's one of the instructors there.
Yeah.
So like he's done a triangle demonstration for us before. I'm like, dude. It's, I remember one time he told me like how to work on my back bends to do like wall walks, and he just walked his hands back behind. I'm like, dude, I can't do that. Like I can't just my
Yeah.
spine would snap in half. I'm like,
You just
I
got to
can't.
start somewhere
Yeah.
and keep going.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Anyway, I was thinking about the podcast because I went to the movies last night, and I went and saw Game Night.
I was going to ask what you saw.
Yeah, and first off, great movie. It was very entertaining. I was very pleased. Had an interesting kind of vibe to it. I really like Jason Bateman,
Right.
but it just had some. It was a little scary at times, like shocking. So it would have been fun to see with my brother. But anyway, at first, on my way over there, I forgot that I hadn't done my reps yet.
Oh, no.
And the movie was at 10. There's no way I was going to get out of there before midnight.
Yep.
I'm like, shit. So, and
So what did you do?
because we had gone
Push-ups
out
in the parking lot?
well, I was like, okay, I could pull into my brother's driveway, rep out some push-ups real quick, and then drive over. And I was like, okay, no, what can I do? What can I do? Like, that's not going to be super sketch as far as like, doing jumping jacks.
Yeah.
The parking lot looks a little odd at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
so
and 100 push-ups, like all
Right,
that, everything
right.
would look a little odd.
there's not a whole like or squats, anything. So what I did is I was like, all right, I can figure this out. I pulled in, and I got out of my truck, left my door open, and I did single leg marches. Which is like you kind of like pull your knee up into your chest and just kind of like almost like you're fake marching.
Okay.
So I did that. I did gate swings, which is another like rotational
Okay.
hip thing. And then I went into, I did like 30 in the parking lot because I was like, okay, no.
30 what?
Just total reps of the things I just told you. And then I got into the theater. I went to the restroom and I did some more single leg marches up and down the restroom. And then,
That's really funny.
and then I got into the theater, and then no one was in the theater. So then I just repped out a bunch of single leg marches and gate swings in there, and then I did some ankle rotations. And then that was my 100 reps.
All right.
I was
Okay.
like, Oh, shoo. All right, good. So I got that done. But I was pumped because I thought I was going to have the theater to myself. And then a gaggle of morons came in.
Oh.
And I feel like I have free reign to make fun of these dudes as hard as possible for several reasons. Because they are young white males, so it's free reign. Like there's no, they're just white suburban kids, and I am one of those. Used to be one of those fellas, and they were probably like, I want to say like, they got picked up in a minivan at the end of the night, so they're probably like 13, 14, somewhere in there.
Young.
Yeah, so not like they're. I feel like they probably were athletes. I'm gonna guess lacrosse kids, just purely on their level of douchiness. That's just my guess. But they came in and sat down. One of them went in the front, and then three of them sat like one row in front of me. And this is where I started to feel like an old man. Like I think there's a level of where you feel justified on commenting on someone else's way of living.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to be 32 next weekend, and these kids are, less than half my age. I'm like, oh, I remember being, that young. I was never that dumb, though. I don't understand being obnoxious in public.
I don't either.
I always had...
Yeah, that's not okay.
Perhaps it was how, my brother and I were raised very Southern. My whole family's from the South. And it was like kids were seen and not heard. Like you didn't...
Yeah, but it wasn't to the point of like exclusion from everything.
No.
It was like you just are respectful.
You were
if an
respectful.
adult's talking, you don't interrupt them. You wait and you ask your question.
And you also don't pretend that the movie theater is your theater.
Right.
Like,
right.
it's not
you
your
go
house.
into a public place, it's not your house. Use your inside voices. You don't stand up. You don't scream. You don't play on your phone. You don't shout across the theater.
They all had their phones out, and they were barely watching the movie. Like, I didn't care because they were doing it during the previews, and then they were throwing candy at their friend who was way down in the front.
Yeah, you don't do that stuff.
So,
but if they're 13 and their parents aren't there, like, they're going to want to get away with stuff. Hey, like, Gus, wonderful. We're not home. He tries to burn the house down.
Right,
like,
right. So there's that.
Pushing their limits.
But
anyway, I still don't think I would have thrown candy at somebody.
So these kids are like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they definitely were not driving age. So we'll call them like 14, 15 right in there. And I was like, okay, there's 4 of these idiots. And then more people came in, but it wasn't enough people to sway the vibe. Like, if you go to the movies, you either want a dead, empty theater or like 1 or 2 people that are super quiet.
Yeah.
But if you get in that weird mix where someone's going to be rowdy and you don't have like a packed theater, the packed theater will dictate that everyone shut the hell up.
Right.
Like, it's
like someone's going to complain.
Yeah.
Or you get thrown out.
Because then I was like, all right, at what point should I say something if these guys are going to continue to try and like ruin this movie? And I was like, and like one of them kept getting up. I was like, what would be the best way to do this? And I was like, because the thing is with guys like that, they weren't aggressive. They were just having a good time. Fooling around. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I feel like as a society, we're letting people get away with like subpar behavior too often. Yeah. Because these kids are just like a little, like, you gotta like get in line a little bit. Like settle down. Like this isn't your living room.
Right. Right.
And, they're on their phones.
There's an appropriateness for being in public.
A couple things I thought of. One, I really wanted that thing that Bruce Wayne had in the third Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. When he gets out of his car and everybody's taking pictures of him, he just clicks a little button on this remote and it kills everybody's electronics. That would have been hilarious if I could just kill their phones.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, no. And then my other one is just like, I was like, okay. This is just something Josh and I always like think about and talk, like basically how many teenagers could you take on?
Oh my gosh!
In some sort of a scuffle.
You think about these things
all the time, man. Because you look at them, how big they are. You're like, okay, he's probably like, some of them were decent sized humans, but they have like, I'm getting to the point where I started to have like old man strength, and apparently I'm like somewhat abnormally strong just from like grappling. I can just tell based on. So I'm not, and I'm like 218 pounds right now. Some big, decently sized fellow, and I'm full grown, and I'm a grown man with skills. So, but
so you could take on a lot of teenagers.
I was like, okay, because the thing is, if you say something and then they say something back, and then it escalates to like, oh, what are you gonna do?
Right.
like I'm very comfortable with it going to a physical place, but like I just want to watch the movie. I don't
Right.
want to get into all that.
Right, and I can understand why you would think through these scenarios because you've trained martial arts for however long, for a super long time. You doing okay there, buddy?
Sucked up a little much to the straw there.
So, like, I can see why you'd think, worst case scenario, what would I do?
Yeah.
How would we de-escalate the situation?
Well, it'd be way different if they were 4 300-pound dudes.
Right.
They're
Right.
just monsters.
So, go on, continue with your story.
So I was thinking the one thing I could do, I had a few, this is like all running through my head during the previews. It was like, okay. I'm like, what if I was like, yo, let's take it outside. And then I got them all to go out the security door.
And then just shut it.
then just shut the door because they're dumb. So that was one. And then one of them kept getting up. And I was like, oh, what if I just got up and like quietly choked each of them out
Oh my gosh,
and then
Jeremy.
dragged them outside?
Jeremy.
I feel like no one would have been upset. Like I would have been
I
the
think
hero
that
of
some
the
people
theater.
would have been upset.
No,
They would
not
have
if they
called
didn't-
the cops on you. Like,
No.
this guy's just choking people out and dragging them outside.
No, but they'd be like, that asshole was throwing candy. So like we all understand. I don't think anyone would have reported me. I'm almost positive.
Wow.
Like if I just took out like 2 of them and then the other 2
I
were
think
like,
that may be a problem
"Ooh."
also.
They're fine. They would just wake up in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be like, there's no violence to it. It's just a little go to sleep for a minute. It's very, there's no lasting impact.
I think maybe if some kid randomly, like, the next thing he knows is he's waking up in a parking lot because some guy was strangling him till he passed out. Like,
wouldn't even
that
see
would
me.
be a lasting impact.
wouldn't even
I
see
think
me.
that counts. Maybe not from like a broken bone sort of perspective, but I know that that would not be a pleasant experience for me
They would
if
feel
that happened.
a slight pinch and then they go, and then wake up in the parking lot.
Yeah, I
That's-
still think that would cause some lasting impact, Jeremy.
Well, lasting, yeah, maybe they won't be assholes next time.
Yeah, maybe.
Who's correcting this behavior? That's what I want to know.
Right, and the mother probably would have if she was there.
Ah, man, I don't know.
I highly suspect that would be the case.
I don't know. Not from maybe one of those kids' moms.
Maybe.
But-
I don't think that a lot of parents don't like it when their kids do that kind of stuff.
hope
Especially
not.
that, like, throwing stuff across a theater.
Yeah.
No. There's one thing where, like, parents might not say turn off your phone. It's probably bothering somebody if they're staying in their seat and being quiet. I can understand why the parent wouldn't do that. They're focused on the film. They're not looking. They're not making a huge disruption. But if you're throwing stuff across the theater and standing up and walking around and doing stuff, that's one thing. That's like, I just can't imagine that even some of the parents who are like super lax, it would annoy the parent to have that
Yeah.
happen while they're watching the movie.
Yeah.
They would ask them to stop.
Yeah. It's I think I'm like I'm getting to like old man age where I'm definitely going to say some shit next time. Like that's and if I had my brother there, then there's like 2 of me,
Mm-hmm.
so 2 trained fighters that it's like, yeah, for sure I'm going to, but cuz it's so weird that males like that, if there had been a, like, say I was sitting in the middle of a football team that was perfectly well behaved, that would have dictated
Right.
the whole vibe of the theater. Like none of that stuff would happen. But
Right.
I was like, oh, I think annoying people know the limit at which, at least if they're perceptive, like if I crest this, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. That's
Well,
like,
There wasn't enough people in the theater for them to feel like we have to behave like this is a theater.
but they reined it in a little bit
Mm.
because they got, like, the one lady said shh, and then it was like
So
there
somebody
was
should have just said something more.
there was some tension there, but it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Like, say something before you go to choking them out.
Well, I would. I'm just saying you have to be prepared for it to escalate because they're morons.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but I'm sure I was just thinking about it because I was like, what would be, because then you have to think like worst case scenario, all 4 of them come at you. I'm like, well, how well would I do in that scenario? I'm like, I would be, like, I think I would. And then it's that stupid thing of like, I'm pretty sure I could beat up like 9 dudes. It's like, definitely not. I mean, yeah, no matter how trained you are, you
Yeah.
could get cold cocked and just get hit
Yep.
once bad and go down. So it's never been in a street fight, folks. Anybody that goes to the movies and people are being annoying, I just feel like, one, I could come up behind them in the row behind them, just put them to sleep a little bit. Then maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like if someone was being annoying, they got put in a sleeper hold, they, passed out, they were dragged outside, I would applaud that person. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's you. You know what? That everything's fine. You don't think they're dead.
They're
Like, lots
fine.
of people don't know
They're
that
I've
stuff. Mm-hmm.
been choked out a lot of times. I almost passed out in a tournament. It's fine.
Yeah.
I was fine. Yeah, still, well, relatively.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just feel like there's ways to handle those situations, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that lady shushed them. Go that lady.
Yeah. Then I was like, oh, if it had been 4 young girls, I wouldn't have said shit. Like, I wouldn't even been tempted to. I'm like, I don't even know how to begin that. But then I feel like they're like middle-aged women get on that quick. I don't know. I was just making some social observations when I was in the theater. But then the movie, thank goodness, was like engaging enough that they kind of actually started paying attention.
That's good.
That was good.
That's nice.
But anyway.
So that was your experience last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
And then, let's see, you were showing me, man, some of the cutest puppy videos.
Yeah.
Because we could have gotten another dog, like,
Yeah, almost.
soon, folks.
Almost happened.
And Jeremy's got a bit of a weak spot for puppies. So, yeah, when we get our house that has some land and stuff, you're gonna have to like rein it in.
Yeah.
As far as like, or else we're just gonna have like we're gonna be like the crazy dog and cat people.
I know, but if we have enough room, I mean, you can fit a lot of dogs.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. We'll see. We'll just take it one dog. We've
So-
got Gus sleeping right here. He's fine.
Serena showed me a video from the breeder that we got Gus from,
Mm-hmm.
and she had this adorable 4-month-old,
Super cute.
super cute,
Totally pure white.
white Lagotto female,
Mm-hmm.
and she had gotten in a crate accident where she broke. I guess she jacked up her
Messed up her knee.
her little dog knee,
No.
and then and she got surgery, but they don't want to sell her because her gait's going to be a little.
It could be
could
potentially
be
off.
potentially a little
They just
squirrely.
can't guarantee health because of the injury to the knee.
Right. But she is so adorable,
Yeah.
and then they're not going to even charge for it. They're just trying to find a good home for her.
Well, to someone who they trust who's got another one of their dogs already.
right.
It was not just like giving away a free puppy.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they want somebody. They were looking for someone who would take good care of her and help to rehab her and be a really loving home, and somebody who's already got a Lagotto from the family.
Yeah.
And so
We qualify, folks.
we qualified, and we thought about it. We seriously thought
I'm
about
still
it.
thinking about it. Oh man, she's so. If you just kept spamming me with that video, I'd be like, damn it.
I know.
She's so cute. I
Mm-hmm.
would call her Peanut or Miss Mabel.
Yeah.
She's so cute.
Super cute.
And she's probably going to be smaller than Gus.
Oh yeah,
and,
she's for sure going to be smaller than Gus. She's little.
Yeah.
She's very little.
And her tail just goes like a helicopter.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
dude! And then the video, folks, they showed us. She showed me a video. The first one was her just like running around, but then the second one was after surgery, and this little dog is limping around. I was like, oh, dude!
You both could just nurse your knee injuries
I know, right?
together.
Like I could do my voodoo bands around her little knee and like do. Oh man, yeah. If you got me that dog for my birthday, I'd be like, oh well.
Good to know.
But anyway, we're definitely getting more animals in the future. But
Yeah, it was very sweet, that little pup. I really seriously still keep thinking about her.
so cute. If Jackie listens to this, just like maybe shoot me some more pictures on Facebook or Instagram. A little more. Could use some more intel.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we'll see. I don't want her to be left at home a lot though. And then we've talked about it before, where if we get another one, it'd be good if it could also be a candidate for a service animal.
Yeah, just in case, you
Yeah.
know, I think that's really wise to say, make sure temperament is really good, because worst case scenario is you get a super fantastic dog who's just a pet. But like if something, God forbid, ever happened to Gus, you have a kind of backup. You're like,
Right,
okay, we've
right.
got some training, we've got some basics down. But then again, what would end up happening is I would bring both of them around everywhere with me, which is like a little much.
or you could you could vest up the female, and then I could take her, and we could have like to go out together.
True.
Can you?
That's
Because then I could like train it, or help train it too.
Mm-hmm,
But because I really want, eventually, I think within the next, I'm going to say 3 years, just to give myself a window.
Okay.
Eventually, Josh and I are going to have an office, and potentially, I think what would happen is your office, my office / studio,
Mm-hmm.
and Josh's office would be in the same little shindig if we can find a good deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
on
that'd be
something.
nice. Yeah.
And that would be. I would really like to have a like an office
Yeah,
dog. So
that would
that's
be
kind of
so
what I
nice.
would want, because then I want, what I really would like is have a dog I could take with me
Right.
everywhere, just to like chill. Like office would be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I go on quotes and stuff, throw them in the truck, hang out.
right. And when you say take with you everywhere, you don't mean like public access. Like
No,
service dogs. You just mean like hang out with you more places, who's chill and cool.
yeah, places I have control over,
Yeah,
not like
where
on my
they're
job
allowed.
site or
Yeah,
something.
like
yeah.
pet friendly places.
Right.
Right,
And then if I
exactly.
went and did the quote, they would just chill in the truck while I would do that.
Yeah.
But
You want a buddy. So that's where like this female, I think she's awesome. She's super cute, but she would not qualify for service work.
you don't think so?
Not anything to do with her temperament, but any kind of injury like that disqualifies you just for the potential of problems because you're out and about and you're doing things. If you have any kind of knee, hip injuries, disqualified from service work, even if you're the most perfect temperament ever.
Really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had some, I don't want to say friends, people I've followed online who have service dogs where that has happened. They get to, 2 years of age. They're meant for being a service dog. They've been in training for 2 years, and then they have hip dysplasia and disqualifies them completely.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, something to consider.
Something to consider. But she'd be fine as an office dog because it's like just a house. You know what I mean? It's not like going around and doing things.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been reaching out to a few folks this week, just old associates, I guess. My buddy Eric built a production studio inside of my other buddy Josh, who's a carpenter, his barn, where Josh stores all his, not my brother Josh, another Josh, all his carpentry stuff and a lot of like extra supplies and tools and stuff in a big barn. And then Eric went and made part of it a recording studio.
That's so cool.
And Eric had collected, all of these instruments and super nice equipment for years and years. So it's like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
worth
but
of
it's a really nice studio.
And Eric's done some like renovation stuff. So he made a pretty cool little recording setup where they have a recording space and then kind of a mixing and mastering space. That's, if you guys can check him out. I think it's just his name on Instagram, Eric Sirianni.
I'll link them for you guys.
Very cool studio pics. And I was talking to him that he's bumped around. He was an electrician, but he's a phenomenal musician. I believe he was friends with the band Fun.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speak out of turn. I think he could have toured with them. He's a crazy good drummer.
Yeah.
And then he got into kind of construction and, touring musician's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Rough gig too. If you're, it's a lot of traveling. But anyway, Eric's always been in that space, and then he was bumping around doing different contracting stuff. He's an electrician. He did all different things, and then now he's, he renovated this RV that I know him and his wife Jill, who I think that's actually how I met Eric, because my brother's best friend Matt.
Oh, right.
His wife is Jill's sister.
Okay.
Jill is married to Eric. Sorry, that's a long. No
Little
one's going to
loop
follow
there.
that. Don't worry about it.
That's okay.
They're very nice people.
Connected to you met him through somebody connected to Josh's friend.
Yep. And I've also worked with Eric. Eric came and did electric work here.
Yeah.
He's just a good dude. But he built this recording studio, and now he's working with off and on like professional musicians.
That's pretty cool.
And he's a really good producer as well as like pretty good sound engineer and working the board and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool.
But he's probably gonna mix our intro song when
That's awesome.
our licensure runs up this year, folks. But I just think I'm very impressed with guys and gals that are trying to shape their world so that they get to interact with it the way that they would prefer. So, if he's stuck with being an electrician, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Great occupation. I would definitely encourage that being one of the trades I would promote the most. But, you don't run into many professional musicians being an electrician. So
Right.
now he's set up this recording studio where now he gets to interact with the type of humans that, you would want he would want to interact with on a regular basis.
That's great.
And that's pretty cool, where you get to start like shaping your world how you want to. And he did it in a very reasonable way. His overhead's not crazy. He found a very, it's not some insane space. So, and I've just been thinking a lot more about things like that, where it's like, oh, I like what he's doing there. And then it's one of those things that if you keep at it, it'll grow. He's got a potential opportunity to work at another big production studio and still retain his space, and he's still doing some side contracting work. But yeah, I talked to him for a while, and I'm probably going to go check out his space up there.
Cool. Very cool.
A little bit later. But there's him, and then there's Jeremiah, which he's putting together his app right now, the Grow That app.
Yeah.
And been talking to both of them about different kind of... It's things that you're working on them similar to the show, where you don't really know, there's not like a guarantee of success kind of a thing. So it's a little nebulous as far as, I hope this works.
Well, you're kind of just like putting some ideas into practice, and there's no guarantee that it's going to work. So taking some steps.
Yeah. But I've had those are like the seeds that are planted, those types of things. And I really, really, I think it's so important to do that kind of stuff because I've seen what my dad did over a 30-year career at Lakeside, where he, came the year I was born, I think he started. And he was basically became the CEO of a very defunct, small, kind of going bankrupt situation, and then built it into what it is today, impacting, thousands of kids every year, and they have over 200 employees and 5 campuses.
Yeah, and they're doing all kinds of stuff nationally too, so it's like ginormous.
I don't know how much we can talk about the national stuff, but they're doing some very
They're doing a lot of really cool things.
Like all this trauma training in different states, and it's now they got these studio. It's like, I've watched, and then they built the administrative building, which is so awesome. Like it's legit inside this warehouse. It's so cool. And I was like, oh, not everyone, I think, grows up with that, where you get to see someone who just grinds in one direction for 30 some years, what the payoff is. So,
I think that's pretty cool. So you're kind of like taking action to build something and then watching it get built, to actually be thriving.
Well, it's kind of like what Jordan Peterson was talking about, is like, you want to compare yourself to yourself yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Where like we look at these finished products like Apple, we're like, holy crap, look at that company. But it's all that stuff started with like 2 dudes in a garage, or a small one campus school. And now look at Lakeside. Now it's like those people are not. It's just someone that stayed in the groove for a long time, and you keep building on those skills, and then you project forward. And then that's at least I've inherited a little bit of that visionary piece of things with my. What's up?
Nothing. I'm just scratching my face.
Okay, I thought you were like, do I have something on my face?
No.
Are you signaling me? What do you say?
No, I just my little hair was just tickling my cheek. That's all.
But yeah, so I've been thinking about that as far as when you see someone hit that kind of that stride. I'm like, oh, you should stay with that and see where that goes, because you're that good that you can keep pushing in that direction. And I think about that with you. But it's not as linear, I think, as people may think it would be. Not. Because you've even noticed this when you started your nutrition business, you thought you were going to kind of do one thing with it. And then once you start, you get into, you're like, okay, all these other opportunities open up. And I think it's also important to note that like opportunities, just because they're there, every opportunity is an insane amount of work. Like, there's no opportunity just like, oh, now it all worked out. It's there's nothing. You have options that you can work at. And I was just watching some stuff on YouTube, and they're talking about how hard it is to monetize. And there's been some, there was an article published in Bloomberg that, if your kid says they want to be a YouTube star, discourage them immediately.
Wow.
You're like, and Casey Neistat did a recap of it. And he's just like, anything that you want is very difficult to get. Yeah. Like it's, and that's I don't think we should be discouraging anybody from working hard. So, and that's.
Right. Well, and you said this a second ago, and I was thinking, the opportunities are challenging. No, there's no like super easy opportunity. It's really funny because I was thinking about this yesterday and then a little bit this morning. There's someone who was writing something on, I don't know, somewhere I read about it. It was like, I just kind of pick a direction and then sort of see where God takes it. Yeah. And I was like, that's a really interesting way to live your life, because you're kind of just like, I'm wafting around. I'm not picking a direction. I'm not doing work. I'm not choosing an opportunity. I'm just sort of floating around. Right. If you pick the opportunity, go for it, right? Yeah. Take steps, work hard, achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. Don't just like float and do nothing, like wait for this little wafting of the spirit or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like to take you in a direction, go pick a direction and go after it.
Yeah, and go after it hard.
Yeah.
And I've been more people in my life have pointed this out. I like finding out if I'm wrong as fast as possible. And
so you can make some changes.
Right. And they're like, Jeremy, you go at stuff really hard. I'm like, well, I want to find out if I'm right. But I'm not really attached to my ideas. Not that much, not the bad ones. And I've been so wrong about so many things that I'm way more open to the possibility of me being incorrect about something else. significant. So I'm just like, yeah, let's figure this out.
see
And people are
what
like,
happens.
you were wrong. I'm
with
like,
the idea.
yep,
Okay, I was wrong.
I was
Let's
wrong.
Recorrect.
Let's correct and go get tap out, reset, go again.
Yeah.
And so I want, yeah, I guess my emphasis is that I just think you got to, like, your dad said something the other day at the meal, because I've thrown out a lot of ideas and I process things verbally, which is why I like podcasting.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this last night too,
Yep.
where I had an idea to do like a YouTube channel. And I was going to call it like Audible Man. I had this whole, I had an idea to make like a superhero that just gave like
Yes, it was
Audible
so fun.
recommendations, which would have been like a good shtick. I think I could have done something with it, but I had to talk it through enough times to
Right.
get a good, for me, I verbally have to paint enough of a picture to kind of feel it and
Right,
see what it would
it's
be
gonna
like.
look like. Play with the idea a bit.
Yeah. And then be like, okay, well, could you put out 1 to 2 videos like that a week doing that? And it's like, ooh, I think I would run dry at some point. So you got to look at that's why this show is the way that it is, because I know I can have a conversation with you every week. And this is like, we've picked a sustainable pace. We're not trying to do, 10, like a daily show or anything like that would max us out, which is another thing I kind of arrived at over the last week, is that you got to look at like that feeling of not pushing hard enough. It's like, yeah, I could work harder, but I can't sustain that pace. So you got to pick a
Right.
pace that's actually feasible long term. So, but I think I've covered that before.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to mention one more, because we have a topic that we're going to
we do.
start dissecting here in a little bit. That's I'm pumped about. But the one book I would recommend for folks that I was thinking a lot about this week. Cal Newport's So Good They Can't Ignore
Oh,
You.
yeah.
And that's true if anybody. I was talking to another one of my fighter friends who's working on a blog, and it's actually a vlog, so it's a YouTube channel. And crap, I forget I know it's Dennis's Voyage, I think.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll put it in the show
We'll
notes.
link it. It's he's a really funny. He was my favorite Muay Thai instructor.
Cool.
Super funny, upbeat dude. He's got a Muay Thai
think
school.
I met him once.
Yeah, he did. He's got a school over in Phillipsburg, and it's like over in the Easton area. But he travels around, and he cooks a lot. He's a really good cook. And I think he's married now, so it's him and his wife travel around and shoot stuff, and
Cool.
it's pretty cool. But we were talking about how you make money on the internet, and he's like, yeah, man, you could like monetize. And I've been doing a shit ton of research on
Yeah.
this stuff and taking courses and just kind of poking around. But we should talk about this too, because I've been taking a course on Instagram, and they talk about, like, they don't say this, but there's black hat marketing and white hat marketing. Just think like old Western. Black hat is nefarious activities.
Okay. Yep.
And then white is like best practices, just kind of stable across the board, and
And like nothing shady about it.
nothing shady. And then there's kind of like gray hat marketing, which is a little bit in the middle. But the point is, regardless of what marketing techniques you use, your actual content
Has to be good.
has to be really good.
Yep.
And it has to be something you care a lot about. So that's why this show, Tim Ferriss talks about setting up even like a no-lose situation. So even if you took on a big project, you would come out,
Right.
like, you would win even if the project failed.
Right.
So I know, and I don't plan on failing with this, but like anyone does, I'm going to totally fail. But,
Not very many people plan to be failures at the things
Right,
that they're
right.
endeavoring for.
but what's like the worst case scenario with this show is that you and me get better at talking to each other.
Yeah, I'd have
Like,
some cool pictures.
it'd have great thumbnail pictures. Like that's a win-win for me.
Yeah.
So it's enough, but, yeah, I just think that regardless of the marketing piece, you want to get so good. Cal Newport's whole thing with his book is that, you should get so good that your skills are so like amazing.
Yeah.
You're just undeniable in your space. And I think that it would behoove most people to spend the majority of their mental energy focusing more on that. Because that's what's really impressive over the long haul, is how good at something you can be.
Right.
So I don't know if you had any input on that as well, but
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like, I think about that sometimes with my nutrition practice. I've never done a scrap of marketing at all. I have business cards, but like, I ordered 750 business cards 4 years ago, and I still have some, like that's it. It's all word of mouth, and people know about me because I'm good at what I do. I'm not trying to say I'm the best or super duper fantastic. There's definitely better practitioners out there in the world, but like, it's so good they can't ignore you. People find out about you when you are really good at what you do.
Yeah.
Like they're attracted to that because people want some like you want to go and see someone who's competent. You want to talk to someone who knows what they're doing and has a lot of experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And your retention rate's really high. So, if someone gets through your initial kind of marketing piece or find out about you through word of mouth, and then, I mean, we do zero marketing for my painting business. It's all been built on reputation. And I think it's just fresh on my mind because we've been shooting this contracting 101 thing. And I really want to emphasize anybody starting out, like, protect your reputation. It's very important to, particularly in contracting, I would guess in anything, but it's real. Like, you want your name to be
a positive thing in people's
thing.
minds. Yeah, if you have issues, fix the issues. Even if you lose money, even if it's like not the most pleasant thing, you're there to serve and to be for your reputation to be built highly.
Right.
That's what you want.
But so I've just been thinking about that a little bit.
And even later, even not when you're just starting out, like keep your reputation going. You don't want to just like say, "Oh, I've got a great client base. I can start being a dick now." Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
You want to keep your reputation high and keep striving. Be so good they can't ignore you. Like that's what part of that looks like.
Yeah, yeah. And then I've had to reframe how I think about marketing because I've been taking some of these Udemy classes, and the one on Instagram I find fascinating because I would really let's backtrack a second. I think we've talked about this before.
Okay.
How you organize a closet, you specifically, you take everything out of the closet and then you stare at it for a while, the empty space and all the junk, and then you look at it, and then you'll just be sitting there for. I mean, I've seen you do it.
Sometimes it takes me hours of just staring
just
and
like looking
and
at it,
thinking,
and you're like, "Are you going to do anything?" And then you,
it clicks.
but then you click, and then everything just goes in like Tetris, like.
Yep.
So I do something similar where a lot of times I'll like get into something, and then I'll do a lot of research and like, what is actually going on? Like, what are the undercurrents of how this social media platform works? I've done that with photography and video and like all of this stuff and podcasting, and then you start kind of applying things that Instagram, man, it's very interesting to see what people are doing, and you're basically trading in likes, and it's like the like trade.
Right. I like your thing. You like my thing.
So there's some of that, and then there's ways to manipulate that. But what I'm seeing is like, because anybody that follows on Instagram, I'm gonna start making some pretty significant changes to like how that profile is set up and what it looks like, and then having a little bit different posting rate and some different things. But what I've extrapolated from all this marketing stuff is that you want a frictionless interaction between you and we'll call them a client for lack of a better term. For us, it's like
your followers,
be
your
like
viewers.
Followers, subscribers, whatever. You just want to make everything as smooth as possible.
Right.
That's something I can get behind. So it's because I care about the show. I think as we get better and better at this, it's a really fun thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's turning into a show about nothing, which I like.
Well, I feel like it's going to change. It feels nebulous to me because we do have some good topics, some nice things going on. It's not necessarily about nothing. It's about processing our thoughts for the week. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty cool and have some
and a
little bit of a direction.
A youngish married couple that actually like each other.
Yeah.
So
which is like surprisingly rare.
Yeah.
Not to sound super judgmental.
Apparently.
I've seen some stuff.
Man, I know a lot of dudes that don't like their wives and vice versa.
They're like them and in this vein, but not like, hey, let's hang out and have a show together and like spend life together and do all kinds of things.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I like you. You're fun.
Like
That's why I married you.
Yay.
Yeah. It took a while to find you. It's like, nope.
It's true.
This one, I'm done. And I'm out. So.
Before we change topics.
Okay.
Can I get more coffee?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pause.
Yeah, just I'll keep talking.
Oh, okay.
But I guess I could pause it. Yeah, we'll pause. And we are back.
Thanks. Got my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Gus is saying hello.
I saw you poking at your cup. I'm like, oh, she's gonna want some more. Mm-hmm. So,
Delicious.
yeah, back coffeeed up, backyard beans. I think this is one of the Colombia roasts.
It's Colombia or Honduras. I can't remember.
Good. We've got to go back over there because I think there's going to be nothing again at Whole Foods this week.
Yeah, I'll go back over.
Because our Whole Foods is a moving.
Yep.
So the new Holy Foods is opening up, I think, Wednesday.
On the 14th.
So that'll be all good in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be no food at our current Whole Foods.
No, I know. Oh, well, I think they're closed, actually.
I think they are closed this weekend.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they're
Moving stuff.
may have to go to a alternative store.
Yeah. Oh, we'll be fine. We'll
today.
figure it out.
We're going to find some more foods.
Yeah.
So I think I only have stuff for like one more smoothie.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It's a problem. It's a problem. So yeah, that's my rolling it back a few. I would just say for focus on getting wicked good at stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Cal Newport book's definitely worth taking a look. He also wrote a book called Deep Work, which is somewhat
that
similar.
one was good too.
But also that's more about how you get into a flow state and really accomplish a lot. But the So Good They Can't Ignore You is one of the better ones, particularly for any young folks that are kind of starting out on a path. You got to look and see, at least my opinion, of like where your skills can take you way down the line. Because the breadth of something like, take photography, for instance, it's such a deep rabbit hole. You can't really, you're such a turd. All right, back.
Gus.
Back, Gus, back.
Come on. Right over here.
Just looks so offended.
Come over here. I'll pet you.
I just don't want him messing up the audio. That's all.
He's good.
Yeah, like you take it a day at a time and then keep pushing forward. And, some people are going to move quicker than you. You see that in Jiu Jitsu all the time. Like you don't get your black belt right away. It's years and years of grinding. And then you see like where you can get to. So our topic today that we chatted about a little bit is useless skills.
Superfluous
skills.
Skills that don't really serve any functional value to your life. They're just kind of like random.
Or a lot of them were functional for a time, and then now they're a little out of context.
Yeah, out of context is really good.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day because Josh and I, when we were at Free Will a couple weeks ago, we're playing like paper football.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I haven't played that in forever. And Josh and I got really good at that. So you make like a little paper triangle. You kick it off, and then you got to shuffle it back and forth, and you try and get the little lip over, like one of the corners over the edge,
but without falling off.
Without falling
completely.
over, and then you kick the field goals. My brother and I were
funny.
super good at that. We used to play that at friendlies all the time when we were kids, and then we got in trouble because my brother would we got pretty good at flicking those footballs.
Oh, no.
And we'd flick them into somebody else's table.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I would not appreciate that.
And then there's another tabletop game that is basketball. So you can play basketball. You use it.
I remember you said
it's the best. We've used pennies, but I usually liked it with quarters. So it was a little bit easier to handle. And I'm sure someone's made a YouTube video of it, but it's basically like first off, you spin the quarter on the table so it rotates around.
Okay.
And it starts to, goes and it spins and spins, but you want to get it as close to your opponent as possible because they've made like a little basket up against their chest with their
Putting
hands.
their two hands
Two
together
hands
to make a big O.
and you put it against your
basket.
chest so your chest is like the backboard.
Oh, okay.
And then as the quarter is spinning, you trap it with your hands. Your hands have to be on the table.
Flat hands. Bring them together.
Bring them together.
Finger to pointer
You
finger.
pin the quarter, and then you slide it back to your thumbs.
Okay.
And then your hands can splay out, and you keep the quarter in your thumbs. And then you can, if you're close enough, you can dunk it, but your fingertips can't leave the table. So you can't air dunk it or something.
Okay.
And then you shoot it. So you flick it with your.
This all makes so much
thumbs.
more sense. I watched you guys do it, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, so then that's how you try. And then, people we hit each other in the eye all the time because their head's right there because you're trying to shoot.
Yeah.
You just want to lob it and get it either off the backboard into their little, their little basket. And so that was.
You guys were pretty good at that too.
Those were the two probably most popular ones. And then the last one was hockey. And hockey, you had to play with 3 coins of the same. So it had to be 3 nickels.
Or 3
3 pennies, 3 quarters.
Okay.
And that one you arranged the coins like Mickey Mouse. So think like,
Okay, yep.
One
on the bottom, 2 on top.
like a triangle. So then you would flick the middle coin. That's how you would kind of like breaking in pool. Like you flick it through the first 2, and
I see.
the one that was in the middle goes through. And then what happens is the coins separate,
Right.
and then you've got to always scoot the other coin through the other 2.
Okay, so you have to kind of like braid them back and forth.
Yeah, and then the other person has made a goal with their pinky finger and their index finger on the edge of the table. So like that's the goal, and you plop it there, and then you gotta. So you basically
Shoot
have
the
to.
coin in
You've got to
between.
keep crisscrossing the coins through, and then get it into the goal.
Okay.
So, and then if the way you would reverse it is like if you didn't make it through, or you give yourself like an impossible shot. A lot of times you try and scoot it through, and then like all the coins would be kind of lined up in a row. Then you have no possibility of trying to get through.
Okay.
But we could do like bank shots and stuff too, where you can use like the side of your hand to like
Interesting.
bank it. Yeah.
Wow.
So those were our tabletop games.
Games they played before everybody had cell phones,
Dude,
and
they
they
were-
played games on their cell phones.
They were pretty fun. I'm sure they were really annoying in restaurants because you just hear that coin going. But our parents just were happy we were occupied. I don't know. Did you ever go to like Olive Garden back in the day?
Meh.
No. Well, we used to. It was Olive Garden or Fridays back in the day where
Yeah, they didn't have that stuff around us.
Josh and I would get cherry Coke, and I think it was Fridays. I know they both did it, but anyway, it wasn't just cherry Coke. They would give you a cherry Coke and then pump it full of, or it was a regular Coke, and they put the syrup
okay.
in it,
Yep, cherry syrup.
and then they would do the maraschino cherries
Wow.
in like a sword.
Oh yeah, like a
The-
little pick.
The little
The toothpick
yeah,
swords.
toothpick sword, and then my brother and I would both have those, and those things were really sharp.
Yeah,
and then
they're
we would
toothpicks.
we would have little like sword fights,
Yep.
and then we'd actually
Stab
stab,
each
each other. Yeah, like in the hands. So
Did you ever get stuck in your hand and then it just be like hanging there?
oh yeah, man, we'd carve each other up. That was so. Those were.
Kids these days at movie theaters misbehaving, I tell you.
I was like 6 or 7. I
Right.
definitely played those games later though. But never like obnoxiously. Not like that. I was very
True.
quiet in movies. I very much want to see the story.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
But just like, flicking paper footballs at people in restaurants until you got told to
That's
stop.
just yeah. Well, we apologize.
But I'd never throw candy.
I didn't throw candy, but hey, you got to win. Play to win.
Yeah.
These kids weren't playing a game; they're just frogging around. So, and then we had a pretty good discussion with your parents last
Mm-hmm.
night about useless skills.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Your dad said he can like whistle, like
He's
that
like a little
warble whistle.
bird call whistle sound. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I remember I heard the best whistler I've ever heard. I was out on a work project,
Tell me about this.
doing like some volunteer work. I think it was in Coatesville. This dude was a lineman up in one of those bucket trucks, and he was whistling. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and I looked at this dude way up in a telephone pole, and he was a larger gentleman, and his whistling was insane.
That's
It
so
sounded
cool.
like birds, and like he had all these tunes he was doing.
That's
It was
awesome.
very impressive.
Very cool. I'm not very good at whistling.
I can whistle a little bit.
Yeah, I used to be able to whistle really well, and then I don't know what happened, but I cannot hardly whistle anymore.
So, all right, you've got some useless skills. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So, what kind of useless skills do I have? I know one that you're thinking of. It's like, I argue with this, it's kind of useless. By context, it's kind of useless. Are you looking at Gus?
As he's gonna like kick over the tripod, it's
I know,
fine.
He's fine. He's not going to kick. He got really close to kicking it over, but he's so little.
That's
it
a
would
very
knock it
it's a
over.
very good tripod. He's
Yeah,
not
he'd be
gonna
fine.
kick it over. He's just gonna shake the camera.
So anyway, my skill, like this is not totally useless, but it's out in context, it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Eating with chopsticks. A lot of people can eat with chopsticks, but I had actually participated in a bet several years ago. I don't know how long ago that was. It was a while ago.
Been a minute, 6
where
years
I would
probably.
I only ate with chopsticks
For a year.
for a whole year. No cheating through Christmas, through Thanksgiving, through everything. Only chopsticks. No
Yeah.
spoon, no fork, no knife. Just chopsticks. I think I did end up using a knife because you needed to cut some stuff. But like I didn't eat with the knife, you know what I mean? You
Right,
just had to eat
right.
with chopsticks. So Jeremy thought that was totally amusing.
Yeah.
I remember
well,
one
you're
time.
super good with them.
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
a lot of practice.
Yeah, because you
Pick
would
up
eat
one
like
little-
watermelon and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, which was very impressive.
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of interest. What's that? Soup's the hardest because it's like Things float away from you. You can try to grab stuff out of the soup and then they just float off.
But how do you drink the broth? Do you
Just drink it out of the bowl.
Oh, okay. I feel
You drink it one drop at a time.
I
with
feel like
one
you could use a
chopstick.
spoon for that. feel like
I didn't.
that's-
I just sipped it out of the bowl.
Okay.
I don't think I used a spoon.
My buddy Doug used to go out after football practice. He'd go to a Krispy Kreme when they had Krispy Kremes around here,
Oh, that's funny.
and he would go when they had the hot sign on.
Mm-hmm.
So he would get a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts, and then eat them with chopsticks.
Don't want to get your fingers dirty.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he can't get in.
You want to let him in?
Yeah.
It's just we have another Gus interruption, folks.
Here you go. You can go in your crate. Go.
All right, he's safely stowed in the crate.
He just wanted a comfy place to sleep. Oh, no,
But-
he wants to come back over. Sorry. Come here.
All right. So anyway, that's I just always thought it was funny that Doug would eat a dozen donuts with
Yeah,
chopsticks
that
because he
is
didn't want to get his
pretty
hands
crazy.
sticky, and he
That's
said it was
pretty
better than a fork. So,
Yeah.
so you got that, and then origami's another one.
Yes, I've done a lot of origami. That's been really fun to do. I've done that for many years. My friend Ken, hello Ken, if you're listening. And I did a ton of origami. So I've made things like, I made a velociraptor once. That was probably the most impressive thing that I made.
Yeah.
And then I've done elephants, I've done cranes, I've done butterflies,
You did some where you made them inside of a.
Yeah, one year for Christmas, I
Yeah.
did little Christmas baubles. So like those clear glass Christmas ornaments. And it was like a ship in a bottle. I did them with tweezers, really long tweezers, different things. I did a peacock inside of one, did a rabbit inside of another one. I did a crane. I forget what else I did. The peacock was by far the hardest. That one was
Yeah.
really difficult to do inside of a little, because the opening is only a half an inch.
Right.
Just a half an inch.
Did you
little
like
tiny.
pre-fold them and then
I
get them in, and then
pre-folded a
did
couple
some
of pieces.
final tweaks to it?
Some of it you can't do until later.
Yeah.
So I did the base pre-folded, and then you just stick it in and you can bend it. But that's why the tweezers, you had to have 2 sets of tweezers, really long, thin tweezers, to get inside the opening of the Christmas globe.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that was challenging. It was super cool.
And then you made a for the one art show that I went
forgot
to.
about that.
You made a tree
I did.
out of
coat hangers.
Was it coat hangers?
Coat hangers, and it was a cherry blossom tree I made out of white, plastic coated metal coat hangers that you get from like the dry cleaners.
Right. Right.
And then I made a ton, hundreds of little tiny flowers out of twisted wire and nail polish.
Was it paper clips or was it wire that you
It was
used?
wire.
It was wire. Okay.
I don't think it was paper clips. Some of them might have been made out of paper clips, but I think it was just wire that I twisted.
Yeah, because you would twist them into petals.
Yeah.
And then you would coat the petals.
I dipped them in nail polish, or
Yeah.
the viscosity of nail polish is such that you can drag it a little bit so that it forms a little seal around the twisted wire.
Right. Right.
So I did that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you did a lot of those.
I did.
That thing was pretty sweet looking,
Yeah, it was awesome.
but also kind of a useless skill.
Yeah,
in the scheme of
useless.
things.
Like, I mean, it's art,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not anything that's like, I'm an electrician. I can do stuff with this skill. Like,
I'm
I
gonna
can twist
build-
wire and paint it
I'm
with
gonna
nail
build
polish
on-
and make a tree. I should find a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you if you have a picture of that somewhere.
I'm sure I do somewhere. Post that on Instagram for people to see. What else do I do that's totally useless?
Well, I'll throw out some of mine.
Okay.
While you're milling it over, this might strike on a chord for you.
Okay.
So I learned to spin my pen when I was in high school, and because class is super boring, and it gives you just something dexterous to do. And this was before there's a lot of cell phone games.
Yeah.
So I got into the world of pin spinning, which there is a world of that. So there was a really old website back in the day. This is probably like 2001, 2000, somewhere in there. And it was Pen Tricks. I don't think it's still around, but
Probably not.
that's where I would find these videos. And Thumb Around Normal was the first one that I did. I'll do like an Instagram video of it this week, but this one feels really good. That was the first one that I learned.
That's funny.
And it just that
Looks
that one
very satisfying.
that one looks really nice. And then I went from that to there's so I know like 5 or 6 of these.
Yeah.
Some of them are aerial, which means like the pen's gonna fly up and then you
have
gotta
to catch it?
catch it, which is problematic inside of a learning
Yeah,
situation
true.
because I almost poked a girl's eye out where I caught the pen right before it went in her eyeball.
Oh dear, that's really
But-
scary. We talked about that I think on
Yeah.
another show.
And actually how I got started with it is I started playing poker and I started learning chip tricks,
Oh, okay.
and I would bring chips with me to class and stuff.
Yeah.
But they were way more distracting because like there's no reason to have poker chips in like high school, like in a classroom. to,
Right,
like,
where it's totally reasonable to have a pen.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I switched over to pen tricks. But that being said, I do know like 3 pretty decent poker chip tricks.
Cool.
I can do the knuckle roll with a decent, like they're really easy with a poker chip because they're really nicely weighted. It's a lot
Okay, I
harder
see.
with a quarter. I can do it with a quarter, but
And a quarter's
it's,
smaller.
yeah, a quarter's way smaller. But like you can, roll it up and back, roll it up. And
You
back.
need like a silver dollar.
Yeah, that would
That'd
be
be
better.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so fun. Oh, it makes me think of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You know, where skeleton Johnny Depp
Yeah.
flips around the coins, the gold coins.
Yeah, I watched some dudes that can spin it like that fast, and I can knuckle roll a pen too, which is like,
Yeah. Like baton twirling.
yeah, I could start getting it like if I've practiced a lot, I can get a lot faster with
Yeah.
it, and then I've got like a particular sequence of things that I do.
Yeah, I see.
That are, and then I usually go from that to the knuckle roll, and then back up to like going from here to that. So it's.
Yeah.
I used to do it in college. I remember when I was at Temple, I would do it, and then some of the classes are so boring. Like I'd look back and I'd have like 2 rows just like staring at my
People
pen.
staring, watching you.
So I do that. Yeah, I've got quite a few of those that I know, and then I can do like chip stacking with poker chips, which is where I used to be able to do like 5 or so. Like I could shuffle 12 total.
Wow.
So you have like a stack of 6, and then you could combine them into one stack.
Oh, that's really cool.
So I could do that one, and then I have a cool one. This one I'll probably show on Instagram.
Okay.
But it's you use 3 poker chips and you stack them all together. I usually like using 2 of the same color and 1 of a different
yeah,
color.
so you can
and you make like
watch them
you
move around.
sandwich them together so it looks like an Oreo.
Yeah.
And then I can slide the middle one out, spin it, and then slide it back in.
Oh, that's fun. That's
Which
really cool.
that one looks really cool, and it's just all about getting more and more
Yeah.
dexterity with your hands.
That's cool. Those are really fun skills.
Oh, and then I've got some Zippo tricks.
Oh yeah, you do have some cool Zippo tricks
I
that you
don't.
do.
I don't smoke cigarettes, or I used to smoke cigars for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I got into. I got a really cool Zippo that I liked a lot that had a
Mm-hmm.
clover leaf on it, and I'm born on St. Patty's Day, so I was like, I'm not Irish. Well, no, I have a little bit of Irish
Okay.
on Toots' side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But you're born on St. Patrick's Day, so you kind of
it's
like are
something.
an honorary member almost.
Yeah, right. I like drinking. That's close.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so the Zippo ones are fun too. I like any of the tricks that you can. They're called like infinity tricks, which you can just keep doing them,
Right.
so they don't stop. Like
You don't have to reset before you continue.
yeah, like this pen trick that I'm doing right now is called infinity normal, and it's just these really feel nice. Like they just feel good because you can feel the
Repetitive
weight.
motion to
Yeah.
your hand.
Yeah, you can
Nice
just
smooth movement.
and this is, although it's useless, I have a strong opinion about all these fidget spinners. They're garbage. I just
Yeah.
think they're real stupid because
Well, you just have to hold it.
there's no skill involved. So my call to action for people is to learn a skilled fidget. Like
Yeah.
pen spinning, I think is
That's a cool one.
That's what I would
or
recommend.
chip spinning or coin tricks.
Yeah.
Card tricks. Card tricks are cool.
Card tricks are cool. I know one card trick, but I follow a lot of magicians on YouTube, and that stuff's cool.
Very cool.
So I got pretty good at shuffling when I played a lot of poker. I would always be the dealer because I was get super annoyed by people that were slow at shuffling and like you want to keep the game moving. So yeah, that's my learn something cool. I would start with a pen. If you're going to, let's see, I always do the RSVP. This one's been rubbed off, but I like the fine point, but that's just because of my writing style. And then like this pen, you see like the tab on the
A little clip that when you'd clip the cap to your t-shirt or something with your pocket.
snapped off. And back in the day, I would snap it off and then I would sand down this little
so it's
hump
smooth.
here, so it's super smooth, so it never catches on your hand. But also very unlikely people will take your pens. You want to
Right.
get a pen that's got some good weight to it, but is really nicely balanced.
So it's
And
not like super heavy near the point and
Yeah, but
lighter near the clicker or the cap.
I'd recommend the Pentel RSVP, but that's just
Yeah,
my opinion. Over lots of trial and error over the
That's
years.
really funny.
But I once I landed on these guys, I have bought hundreds of these. These are like the only.
That's really funny.
The
You
only
just told
pen.
this story. I'm like, I can't believe that.
The only pen that I buy are these because it's just what I learned to spin on. Pencils are actually harder because they're like I've tried spinning your chopsticks and stuff, and there's just not enough weight to it.
Yeah. Well, I have really light chopsticks for the most part too.
Right. But anyway, that's what I'd recommend. Find a well balanced. You don't want it too heavy on one end or the other. It's got to be kind of like
really funny.
pretty good. And I enjoy it. It feels nice.
Yeah.
So those are some of my useless skills. Do you have? I've got a few others that I've been thinking of.
Hair braiding.
Ooh.
I'm really good at hair braiding. I used to, when I had long hair, I mean, my hair used to be, I don't think you ever knew me when my hair was like, I could sit on it. If I sit down, I would sit on my hair. That was down to my butt.
No.
I did a ton of cool hair braiding stuff back then. My hair now is as long as it's been ever since I've known you, when it's to my shoulders.
Yeah.
So now it's long enough where I can start doing some cool braids again. But hair braiding's really fun, like 5-strand braids, 10-strand, 12-strand braids. That kind of stuff is really fun.
Yeah, that stuff's legit. You were saying you were good at making those necklace things you were talking about?
Oh, macrame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a lot of
Now,
that
what's
too.
macrame?
Knot tying. Just
Okay.
like hemp knot, hemp rope, knot tying and
Okay.
all kinds of fun stuff. Macrame is technically when you see those big planters that are made of big ropes that are tied up. They look like you see them at beach houses and stuff, and they've got succulents climbing out of them or
Oh,
whatever.
okay. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
technically macrame.
Interesting.
But it was just like knot tying, different types of jewelry knots and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Made a lot of jewelry, untying tiny little strings.
You are
like
really
that, so
good
I'm
at
really
that.
good at
You know what you're good at? This isn't actually useless, but folks, when like you wear a hoodie and then the little string gets sucked up into the hole
Or cuts pulled out completely.
or pulled out completely. Serena's awesome at like snaking that thing back through. That's super.
It just takes patience.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I just thought it was broken. I'm like,
It's
oh,
so
well,
funny. You just rethread
guess
it.
I'm done with that. Guess I'll get a new hoodie or not wear it with a string anymore.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
same thing
totally
happens
fixable.
with this is super unique, like fight shorts. I'll lose those strings in there too. I always
Yeah.
try and like knot it, but I've had you fish those out too.
That's true. Yeah, I'm good at that.
Just
It's
very-
little fine motor skill things like that.
Yeah, you've got some random ones.
What else? I know there's a lot of others. We talked about this. I should have written them down when we talked
You
about it yesterday.
play the harp,
Yeah, that's not totally useless. It's just uncommon,
random-ish.
random-ish.
Yeah, uncommon.
Yeah.
It's I would say superfluous would be
Yeah, maybe.
in the
an
realm
instrument.
of yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can't play any instruments. I know, like, I took 2 years of piano that was forced upon me. Small child, I hated it. And our teacher was so fat that she could not fit on the bench with us, so she had to sit on a whole separate stool. So it was
Obviously left an impact for you.
it was just super unpleasant. I did not enjoy it at all, and I didn't see like why I would want to know this. So, and I was like, my brother and I took it at the same time, and he was 2.5 years older than me. So I think he's actually a little bit more musical than I am
Interesting.
with like that kind of stuff. But I don't know enough because he had 2.5 more years of like hand dexterity.
That's true. Yeah,
So,
very true.
but we didn't like practicing, and all the songs we had to play were shitty. So
Yeah,
it
it was not
never
your thing. That's all
anything
right.
Cool. But we try. I know like Mission Impossible. I can do that. And then the song that I played for my recital was In the Jungle.
Oh, that's funny.
So that was my big showpiece.
That's great.
But yeah, then we stopped and said we were gonna do guitar and stuff, and
okay.
never did that.
Yeah.
Although I did attempt a guitar.
You did a couple years ago. Yep. Stage makeup.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's like, it's useful in context. So these are kind of like skills. If you take them out of context, there's no context for them.
Right,
They're kind
right,
of
right,
random.
right.
But like stage makeup is pretty fun and do like remember when we did those
Had
couple
some good
Halloween ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really fun.
Yeah, we had it was a werewolf, and the zombie was awesome.
Yep. And then when I did Josh as a skeleton,
Ooh, that was good. Yeah, and you did Sarah too.
well, she just was half. That was really fun. She half of her face was skeleton. The other half was like really pretty.
Yeah.
Half dead.
Yeah, half dead, half alive there. Yeah, we had some.
Yeah,
I'm wicked good at bathing dogs.
that's true.
That's like a unique. That's not worthless though, or
Yeah.
useless.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
more
It's
random.
just become random stuff that we know how to do.
Yeah, well, it's you got to circle around, see like what is actually you're like, well, is this actually useless
Yeah.
or What were your mom had a few?
Remembering phone numbers and birthdays. If you tell it to her once, she's got it logged in there.
My
That's what
dad
she
knows
was
some super rando stuff.
Yeah.
Like my dad is good at any of those games that you barely ever play.
Oh.
Like he was really good at Duckpin Bowling, which almost no one's going to know what that is, but it's like bowling, but you have I think three shots at it. It's a smaller ball and the pins are also smaller.
Okay.
It's very popular down south. Back in the Dizzy.
So
But,
it wasn't useless then.
And he's a pretty good bowler if he gets back into it. And then he's great at like horseshoes or like any of those old carnival games like
So it's just they're
like
not common games
like
now, but
skee ball, those
he's
kinds of
played them a lot. That's why he's good.
like those kind of games, like any of the what's the new popular like cornhole?
Yeah.
But like those kind of things, like horseshoes, any of that, like that's those kind of tossing games. He was a pretty solid athlete back in the day. So, but just very good at those. You're like, damn, Dad's beating everybody again.
That's funny. Treading water. I'm
Oh,
really
dude,
good at
you
treading
can
water.
tread water a ridiculously long time. Yeah, we did that at Hilton Head last year.
I totally beat you. We had a bet, and he was like, "Oh, we'll go for 10 minutes, and you're totally gonna gas out." And he like had to stop. It was crazy.
That's not how we're remembering that. I thought we hit 10 minutes and then we both stopped.
Okay, the first time I think we did, and then we just went the next time for like as long as we could.
All right. Well,
And you didn't like have to stop, but you were definitely gassing out, and I was not gassing out at all.
try that again this year. And see
We
how it
should.
goes.
It'll be you better practice. I mean,
Yeah.
go to High Point practice. Just tread water for 3 hours.
All right.
But I did a lot of swimming back in the day. I was talking to Katrina about this the other day, and I was thinking like I was never in any organized sports, but we kind of did. It wasn't a sport swimming. It was just a lot of swimming.
Yeah.
So that was, I did a lot of that.
Gotcha.
Some old muscles in there.
Just
of
swimming in
treading
a
water.
lake or
in
a
the Lake
pool?
Wallenpaupack.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we did swim in the pools back in California, but more so in the lake when we lived in Pennsylvania.
That makes sense because there's not a lot else to do up there.
Yeah.
So the lake's kind of the jam.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of any. You got any other ones? I have like super steady hands. I could always win those. Do you ever play the game where you have to like at like a fair where you shoot that?
The water gun to
the water
like
gun?
make the little boat go across and ding the bell.
Boat or the horse or
Yeah.
whatever. My brother always tells the story where I was like in like first or second grade, and there's all these guys trying to like
gosh.
play with their girlfriends at some state fair. I think it was in Ohio.
That's funny.
And I could just hold the stream
That's so
perfectly level.
And you would win?
I won everything, and I won the biggest thing that
Oh
they
my
had.
gosh.
I won like 6 races in a row, and like all these guys were like, "Oh, come on, their things," and my horse was just like,
That's
"Ding!"
hysterical.
And then I beat all my cousins, I beat my brother, I beat everybody.
That's really funny.
And there was another game where you had a gun that launched a racquetball at a clown's teeth.
Oh yeah, yep. To knock the teeth out.
Yeah, I could smash that game. That was
that's
really another
funny.
one.
Wow.
I mean, you remember that one? That
Yeah.
was good. I like that. It always just had that sound, and then would hit the teeth,
Yeah.
and you got to knock out all the. That was good stuff all around. But
Oh, I just had another one. I forgot it.
I'd like that because I was thinking of other kind of useless skills that I want to actually. There's no monetary value attached to them at all. So because you don't necessarily need to learn something that's going to make you money. It's something you enjoy. I want to get like darts. I thought that'd be fun. I really like darts.
Yeah, we
And
used to have
actually-
a dartboard, and I was pretty good.
And
I
actually
liked that a
learning
lot.
how to actually do it, like how
Yeah.
the pros do it, and then get super good at that. I think that's
It's fun.
good.
I'd play darts with you.
And then pool would be another one.
Yeah, pool. You're way better at pool than I am, but I have just not played all that much.
Yeah. I played a lot. My buddy Jared back in the, he lived up in Briarwick. He was one of the kids I played hockey with. He had a pretty awesome basement. He was the friend that had a finished basement. Huge deal back in the
That's
day.
funny.
It was like, oh shit. He had like a huge, man, what were the big screen TVs that like you could, if there was a light on, you could barely see anything.
Oh, that's funny.
But that was like a big deal back
Yeah,
in the day. And then
okay.
he had a pool table. We played a lot of pool. I really like 9-ball. That's my favorite because
It's fun. That's what we played last time.
the game goes a little bit quicker. But I would like to get good at that eventually. But you kind of need a pool table
Yeah,
to do
you
that.
kinda do.
I'm not going to go hang out at pool halls
Yeah.
to do that.
Or have a friend who has a pool table.
Right. It does take up a fair amount of
It
space.
does.
But I've noticed too, a lot of people put those pool tables and ping pong tables in places that they never want to go. They go like put it in like the basement, and there's no windows usually in basements. Like put it in a spot that you would want to hang out in. Like build a sunroom or something, and then put it in there. That'd be way better, so you don't feel like you're down in a cave doing stuff.
True.
But
I thought of my other random skill: staring contests.
staring contests.
Yeah, I can stare longer than anybody. Staring contests without having to blink.
We should do a staring contest later. I'm not going to do it on
Not
mic
right now,
it'd
'cause that'd be so boring.
Super boring.
Just a long blank silence. Oh, did he blink? I don't know. We're
Are
not
they
watching.
still doing it?
Are
Is
they
the episode over?
Yeah, we don't know what's happening. Did we lose power? Is that why it stopped? Yeah, but I'm really good at staring contests. I thought about that when you said steady hands, like steady eyes. I can stare without breaking. And I'm really good at super fast card games, like Blitz.
You are insanely good at those.
Very good at that.
So if my cousin Seth is listening to this, cause man, so Seth made Dutch Bliss not fun.
Oh, because he was so good.
It used to be like my mom, my Aunt Carol, and who's Seth's mom, and me, Seth, his sister Jenny. Like we would all play, and then you kind of get a core group of them.
Yeah,
like
the
on,
people who really like
on
to
vacation,
play,
the people
and
that
you're like-
continue to play.
Yep.
It's usually the aunts, me, and Seth, and then Seth got so good. He has super long arms.
Yeah.
And real just speedy, and he would just murder everyone just so fast. And then you're just like, well, this sucks. And then if my brother plays, Seth would start going, and then Josh's move was to just start slapping all the piles.
Yeah, so he would think that cards were being played just to distract him.
Such a good move.
It's really funny.
Yeah, so that was but Seth, I'm telling you, dude, Serena, I think she would give you a run for your money.
We should play.
Yeah, and
I would play.
dude, even when you've had a few drinks, you smoke people.
I know.
It's bananas.
Yeah, it is pretty fun.
Yeah, like you like your eyes go weird, and you like
My eyes go
because you're like watching everything out of your peripherals.
I do.
It's weird.
I like unfocus my eyes. I don't look at anything specifically sharply.
Yeah.
So you can see the whole board the same amount, and that's the whole playing field, I guess I'll say. So I'm really good at those fast games. And
Okay.
it's really funny because I developed this skill. I used to play with my sister. We played before Dutch Blitz, before I knew that existed as an actual packaged card game. We called it multiple solitaire, and we played with a regular deck of cards.
Yeah.
It's the same concept, but instead of having like your color schemes or whatever and numbers, it was just regular cards, which I think is harder because you can't use the colors in your peripheral. You have to, like, if you see red, it could be diamonds or it could be hearts.
Right.
You've got to actually focus a little bit more. So Katrina loved this game whenever she first learned it. I remember it was years and years ago, and always would make me play with her. And I liked it well enough, but I hated it because we would play so much of the time. I would get so annoyed, and I don't even know if she knows that I hated it, but
She will now.
She will now if she listens to the show. I did not enjoy playing, so I got good so that it would be done faster. And I just was like, all right, if I'm gonna play, I'll play with you, but I'll just like get really good at it, and the game will end.
Yeah.
Then we're done. Check it off the list. But now I enjoy it. I actually do enjoy it.
Yeah,
That's
I've come a little bit y'all's way with the games.
Yeah, a little bit.
Try and find some that I like Angry Kittens, or Exploding Kittens.
Yeah.
I always think Angry Birds.
Yeah. That's not it. That's a
no.
totally different thing.
Exploding Kittens.
Exploding Kittens.
That
is
one's
pretty
good.
fun.
That game moves pretty quick. I like Dutch Blitz. But then when you're going with like, and I'm pretty decent. I'm not bad at Dutch Blitz, but I'm nowhere near you. And then what's the Bhonanza? I like that game.
Yeah,
That game's not bad.
Kat and Peter introduced us to that game.
Yeah, that one's decent. But I just don't like it when it goes slow and you've got to
You
like.
have to keep things moving. If people are deliberating for 5 minutes each round, you're like, okay, this game's going to take us 5 hours.
Obnoxious. Like that's why I hated Monopoly. It would just take forever. So, and why video games are awesome.
Keeps moving.
Because that would be another one of my rando skills, is that I'm pretty good at shooters. At least I used to be. There was a game called Time
Steady
Crisis where, if anyone's familiar with like Dave and Buster's or going to arcades or anything, Time Crisis, the original, had the original gun con where it was a gun controller. And in the arcade, you would step on a pedal and your character would pop up.
Oh, okay.
And then you would start firing. And then to reload or to dodge incoming fire, you would release the pedal and your guy would drop back down. And so it was the game was pop up, bang, 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 drop. And it was a lot of like up and focus. And my cousin got a Time Crisis gun con for his PlayStation. And going to his house, my cousin Michael.
That's so fun.
I would sit there and play for hours. on this gun con because it was like, this is an arcade game that I now have access to,
Yeah.
and I have the arcade controller.
Yep.
They didn't have a pedal; they had a button on the side, but the characters would play.
It would look the same.
It would look exactly the same, and the where they popped up and whatever, and I would stay the same distance you would at an arcade, and
practice.
So then I could go to an arcade, and on like 1 quarter or 1 token, because a lot of arcades went to like tokens, I could smoke that whole game in like one going.
Yeah.
So like any time
That's
crisis,
awesome. That's really funny.
Any time crisis game, I can just dominate if I dust off my skills, and that would be. If I was going to get, I've been in a bunch of my clients' homes that have like arcade games that they've bought. I would get a full-on time crisis
so
cabinet with like a so it's a lot of times you can do 2-player, and it's
I would die. I've never played it before.
It's so fun, man. Well, if you play with me, you don't really just kind of can just try and shoot a few things, but I'll mow everybody down.
Oh,
It's
okay.
fine.
So you're on the same team.
Yeah. You're on the same team. Yeah, it's not a adversarial game,
Okay.
but that's very enjoyable.
You're also pretty good at arranging flowers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't do these. I did these. No, they're
No.
crappy, but like you've gotten
they-
me a lot of flowers that you've put together yourself, and they look pretty good.
Well, see, here's my take on flowers. Here's a little tip for the fellas that are getting some flowers for their significant other. If you go to a florist, they're stupid expensive. I got you. I spent. It was when we first started dating. I remember I got you a $90
Yep.
setup, and I went to pick it up, and I'm thinking in my head like, $90.
Parade float.
Like, yeah, it should be really
Huge,
impressive.
yeah.
And then they gave it to me, and it looked nice. I was like, this is dog shit.
Yeah,
like,
you're
I
like,
paid
$90 for this?
$90 for this?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. So, and I was like, and I kind of looked how they did it. They, they have some, rhyme and reason to it. I'm like, okay.
It was really pretty. It was very nice. It was completely shocking. This was the first birthday that we were dating. We had been dating for like less than a month.
Yeah.
You got me these gigantic display of flowers.
Yeah, I took you to Budokan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't mess around.
I know. You
I
did not
decided
mess
I
around.
liked you early on, and then it was like,
Yeah, game on.
I'm a little bit. Diane always says that I'm like a romantic. So, and what does she say? If you scratch the surface of a cynic,
Yeah.
underneath is a romantic. So, but I had a very elevated view of like how I thought dating should go.
Yeah.
And I all of my tricks that I was storing up,
It was great. I was very happy to be on the receiving end of them.
So, well, I knew I'm a good dude.
Yeah.
And I'd be a super awesome boyfriend, and I was.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, $90 is bananas for the crap they get you at those places. So then I was like, this is silly. So I went to Trader Joe's in the future, and I was like, all right, like $90 is my upper limit. Let's see what I can do. So then I spent like $40, and
Yeah.
you could get like five
Way more than you-
five different bouquets of very specific, like maybe one
Right.
kind of flower, and I would pick them out and make sure I had some like really tall stuff.
Yeah.
I'd take it all home, lay it out. I'd
Yeah.
trim the stems. I'd pick a vase that would be suitable, and then yeah, I had some pretty gangster ones. We
did.
could probably. I think I have some pictures on
You
there.
do, yeah.
Probably
You've
post
done
some of those
really
later.
nice stuff.
But
So
yeah.
I was thinking about that as one of your random skills.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't like it took me a few tries. I had some that were better than others,
Yeah.
but then I had some that were really good, and it's way cheaper. Like,
So much cheaper.
I mean, I can put together pretty
And
good.
nicer too, almost. Like really.
Well, I want it to be impressive. Like, I want to give it to you and have some weight to it. Not like, here's one flower. I paid $90 for it.
Well,
It's
I
like,
like that too. I think all of them
Yeah.
are nice, but I do think that $90 is a bit much for what.
what should just be like, I was expecting more flowers. Just like more. Like, where did it go? How much is labor for a florist? I don't know. I get that they need to make money and whatever.
Yeah.
I just was hoping for a bit more. Like,
Yeah.
then I just think of all the movies where the guys are getting, like, how much money are y'all spending on flowers? That's like thousands of dollars
Yeah.
worth of roses. When
Yeah, very
they,
true.
They always
Yep.
have that like token scene in like a romantic comedy where someone's in a hospital and
Mm-hmm.
there's just like wall to wall flowers everywhere. Like, so that's like $40,000
Yeah.
worth of flowers. That's-
A lot, definitely a lot. Or maybe they just bought out Trader Joe's.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess, suppose. Yeah, but yes, that's my advice. It's my
Yeah,
my
that's a good
one
one. Yep.
knowledge nugget this week is go to Trader Joe's or even a Holy
Giant and stuff. Like lots of these grocery
yeah,
stores
a lot
have
of them,
great flowers.
I mean, this bouquet was like $7 or whatever. It's a little worse for wear right now.
It's 3 weeks old,
Yeah.
so that's pretty good.
But it sat last week refrigerated because we had no power. So it was at like 50 degrees in here.
Yeah.
I feel like that kept him alive, kept him
did.
basically refrigerated for a few days.
Pretty good.
Do you have anything else?
I can't think of any other random. I used to do a lot of nail painting and like writing on my nails and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, you have you can draw and stuff too. I've seen your doodles and you've done some artwork for me. Those aren't like useless things. It's just
Right.
they're little. And
Yeah, I think that's all I can think of right now.
I got halfway decent at making stupid stick figure cartoons.
You
for
were
you.
really good at that. I love your stupid stick figure cartoons. They're fantastic.
They're completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
I have thought about doing an Instagram like we follow a lot of comics like the Awkward Yeti and Katana, Adam Tots, and a few other comics like the Oatmeal. Now they're all like legit artists, but I was like, even that you can see their progression if you follow
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Like you start with stick figures, because my brother and I were talking about this. Is like you can come up with a show idea because we kick around stuff when we're painting and whatever. You can come up with really funny premises, but it's very difficult to extrapolate that out and be like,
Right.
oh, could you replicate that on a consistent basis past one good idea? And that's what ends up being difficult. So you want I like having a flexible / malleable format.
Yeah.
Which is what I have. Kind of looping back around to the beginning of this conversation, people starting things on doing a blog or a vlog or a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever. A lot of advice that I have seen go around is this is a marketing term, niche down. Like get super focused and niche on something, and at least for me, I immediately get like about that, because if you decide to do something and you're only going to talk about this one thing.
Yeah, that's very difficult to maintain.
I mean, unless you're really, really, really into it, that's not, I don't think that's you and that's not me. We like moving through new things a lot. So having a straight up, I mean, you could probably do a straight up nutrition podcast.
Yeah.
I could definitely see you doing something like that. But just being ultra focused, I would just say it might take a little longer to get it marketed and like up to speed if you have a more broad show like this kind of a show.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's should dissuade anybody from pursuing an idea that they think has legs.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of the advice that you get. My advice, and I shouldn't probably even be giving this advice because we're not, I'm not, freaking balling off of this stuff yet. It's not a full-time deal, but you can keep the production really simple.
Right.
And smooth and good, and that's more important, I think, than trying to have a hyper focused topic. It just depends on what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody. If you want a really hyper focused thing, that you're
you
good
can, but if you don't want to, you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah. Or I could be completely wrong, so we'll see.
We'll find out.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
So anything else, love? We've been we cruised right through this. It's over like
I know,
almost
it's
hitting
weird.
like an hour and a
Shot for a
half right now. Yeah.
I think we're good. I can't think of any other totally random skills that I've got that I want to talk about.
I'm sure we'll think of some more.
I know we're gonna hang up, turn off the podcast, stop recording, and probably think of all these new things. But this is a fun topic. I enjoyed chatting with you about it.
Yeah, I think we covered got a pretty broad spectrum there. So cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you in the outro.
Thanks for listening, everybody. That is the end of episode number 10 of The Painter and the Pixie.
Woo!
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed it and learned about some of our random skills. I think it's pretty fun. For show updates and for some short videos of some of these random skills, follow us on Instagram at The Painter and the Pixie. For show notes, you can get those on our website, which is www.thepainterandthepixie.com, or on our YouTube channel, The Painter and the Pixie. Yeah, you can find our show notes there. They'll be up a couple days after the show, just as usual.
Yep, and Sirianni always posts a post on our Instagram announcing when the full show notes are up.
Yep, with all of our links to things we talked about.
Yep, and this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can go to www.audibletrial.com/The Painter and the Pixie to get your 1 month free trial and free audiobook.
Yep.
My recommendation this week is Cal Newport's So Good They Can't Ignore You. Talked about it in the show. I think you guys explained it well enough there, but it is one of my favorites and one of the ones I recommend the most to young folks starting out in the world trying to develop skills and, maybe start a business or even in a corporate professional setting. So again, that's www.audibletrial.com/The Painter and the Pixie.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I also wanted to encourage anybody who's listening or watching right now to totally feel free to leave us comments. I've had a lot of people come up to me recently in the last few days or in the last couple of weeks saying, oh yeah, I wanted to ask you this, or I thought about posting that, and I thought about, DMing you on Instagram. Feel free to do that, guys. You're totally welcome to. We're absolutely happy to answer questions or chat about stuff on our show or just read what your feedback is. So it'd be awesome.
Absolutely. We definitely would appreciate any feedback. And also, I hesitate to give out too many call to actions, but if you have, I've had some of my friends as well have questions or comments or whatever, but if you guys want us to talk about something on the show, we can kind of do whatever we want here. Yeah. So this is y'all's show as much as it is ours. So
feel free.
If you have nutrition questions for Serena that, if she can't answer them, she will be very honest about that. Yeah. But things like that, I know one of your friends had a contracting question as it pertained to paint colors. I know we don't talk about it too much, the fact that I'm a professional painter, but I actually know quite a bit about that. And it's one of the few topics I'm an authority on. So,
true.
Anything like that, definitely appreciate it. And, we're going to make this a fun experience for everyone. And I think the more listener interaction we can get, the more fun we can have with it. And also, I will have, I've been taking some courses and learning some more stuff about Instagram. That account will become more and more accessible as far as I will have our email attached to it, so you guys can email us there. And but always like DMs, comments, anything would be most appreciated. Yeah. And would love to see you guys out on the interwebs. And I think we'll be a little more active on the gram as well. So
cool.
Anything else, love?
No, I think that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a wonderful week. Look forward to seeing you at episode 11.
Yeah, y'all have a good one. Enjoy yourselves. Don't be turds inside of movie theaters.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, might get choked out. I'm just saying. Not by me, but I don't know.
It could be.
Could be. Maybe. Maybe.
Let's not find out.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
Bye.
Amazing.